These committees work throughout the year. And again, His Grace Bishop Maxime has mentioned some of them. There are the listings of the 13 committees. If you go on the website, you'll see exactly what they do, who's involved, and you'll see the reports for each of those. Now, from a personal level, one of the things that we always wanted to do was to have the bishops work with one another. And these are people from different jurisdictions who maybe they served together someplace, they consolidated a liturgy, maybe they attended a banquet together someplace. But what we wanted them to do was to sit down and to do work. Because the only way that they are going to be the hierarchs of a new administratively united Orthodox Church in this country is if they learn how to work with each other. And we were very pleased that we had a telephone conference meeting of all the committee chairs and an in-person meeting organized by His Grace Bishop Maxime and hosted here in May, a meeting of 10 bishops at the Ukrainian Orthodox Center in South Brownbrook, New Jersey, hosted by Metropolitan-elect Anthony of the Ukrainian Church. And as you can see in the center, we were also blessed to have the chairman of the assembly, Archbishop Demetrius, spend that day with us. I'm sorry, it's lacking at the top. The top says committees, bishops, clergy, and laity working together. You have as part of your mission statement the word syndiakonia, common ministry, common work. Now, all of these committees operate with bishops, clergy, and laity working together. And I just put up a few pictures of the various people that are meeting. And one of the things that I just wanted to point out is that the people who are working there are people who have a lot of credentials. They're very experienced. For example, the Financial Affairs Committee, of which I am the facilitator with Archbishop Anthony, or Metropolitan-elect Anthony as the head, has on it a layperson who is an investment counselor. It has a layperson, Eric Namey, who is a tax attorney. It has two priests, who you see in the front there, who are both CPAs. So there are a tremendous amount of expertise in our church. We talk about expertise. The Legal Affairs Committee has on it 17 pro bono Orthodox attorneys from around the United States who have expertise in intellectual property, domestic disputes, nonprofits, etc., who are giving of their time and of their expertise, their knowledge, free of charge to the church. Now, I'd just like to hit some of the major highlights of the activities. First and foremost, again, is regular communications via the website, www.assemblyofbishops.org. It's an amazing website. All of the work that's done on that is contributed by both the Antiochian Archdiocese as well as the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. Another major activity is, since we are an organization under the laws of the United States of America, we had to incorporate the assembly as a legal entity. It's incorporated right here in the District of Columbia. We've just written an extensive set of bylaws for the operation of the assembly, and those were approved at the most recent assembly meeting. The agencies and endorsed organizations are being coordinated again by Bishop Andonius and his people. And what this really means is setting up guidelines for how these organizations interact with the Assembly of Bishops, Episcopal liaisons on the board, 501c3 tax status, development of proper financial reporting and transparency. How will new organizations be brought under the umbrella of the Assembly of Bishops? So that's part of it. There's a lot of work to do in that area. Continual committee work towards the stated objectives. And again, His Grace has gone into a lot of this already. One of the things that I just want to call your attention to that he did was the development of a sound financial base for the Assembly. There are jurisdictional contributions towards the work of the Assembly, but there also is a need for outside donors. And we have had already several fairly major philanthropists step up and make some significant donations to the work of the Assembly. And we'll hope that that will continue, as this, we believe, is the expression of our unity, the expression of our work towards being really one church, administratively united in Christ. The last thing that I wanted to touch on as an introduction to the next slide is the initiation of canonical regional planning. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we did at this last assembly. We're working towards canonical reorganization. Archbishop Demetrius calls it canonical normalization. But basically it is the administrative unity of the church. The work of this has been carried out by the Committee for Canonical Regional Planning. And this is the picture is that of the first meeting of our committee, which was held at the Romanian Archdiocese headquarters in Chicago, Illinois, and is chaired by its chairman, Archbishop Nicolai, who is the head of that Romanian Archdiocese. The work that was done was presented to the most recent assembly meeting. Now, the committee did two major things. It proposed draft reorganizational models and structures for what a united Orthodox Church in America would look like. As well, it posed some critical questions for discussion. Now, a couple of those models were, should we have one archbishop and 10 to 20 bishops on various dioceses reporting to one archbishop? Should we have a set of metropolitan districts, such as in the West, where we might have a metropolitan that is the chair of a Holy Synod composed of various bishops in that region. All of the metropolitans together constitute a Holy Synod, and then there is one who is basically the primus inter pares of the entire Synod. So some of these models were presented for discussion. There is no plan, so to speak, right now, but one of the things that we wanted to do was to make sure that we weren't really off base, that what we were proposing started to find some root in the minds of the bishops, and they could think about it, they could talk about it, they could see whether it made any sense or whether it didn't. Some of the critical questions that we talked about were a little bit personal and perhaps challenging or controversial. And we asked the bishops, are you looking in this united church, are you looking for dependency upon one of the mother churches? Are you looking for an autonomous status, or are you looking for autocephalous status? Now, that provoked quite a lot of discussion. We also asked them very personally, they said, look, you know, when we finally have this plan and we have a diocese here, an archdiocese there, etc., you know, we've got 5 bishops in Detroit or in Chicago. Are you all willing to move? If the church says, you know, you're in New York and we want you to move to Denver, are you willing to do that? And luckily, Archbishop Nicolai presented that, so they didn't throw him out of the room. You know, if someone else did it, perhaps they would have, but they didn't. So what the committee did was to request feedback from the hierarchy. Said, look, these are some of the questions that we have. What do you think about it? And what we also did was also a little bit challenging. We told the bishops, well, you know, we don't want it where you have this big U shape. You know, you have 50 of you and you're going to start, you know, giving your opinions. We want you to break up into small groups. We want you to break up into 7 groups of 6 or 7 bishops apiece. And we're going to mix up the jurisdictions. We're going to tell you where you're going to sit. You're going to sit next to this bishop and not next to that bishop. And one of the bishops will serve as a facilitator of that group. And that facilitator is going to report back to the entire group what the findings were of that group. Now, some people were really afraid of whether there would be a revolt or not, saying, you know, we're not going to do that. You know, that's not the way we do things. But everyone was humble. There were people who said, well, you know, shouldn't we meet as jurisdictions first? And not just as individual bishops talking. We're not sure what our jurisdiction said. And to his, to all of our gracefulness, Archbishop Demetrius said, well, look, you know, we're here to talk. We're here to talk as bishops. This is our job as the shepherds of the church. And they did. And we had the breakout groups, and they reported back to the plenary gathering. And all of this was to guide the future work of our committee.